both assassins and slightly more utility-based fighter junglers. Fills in a lot of the gaps needed to be able to carry out that early game so that Skylar can come online.
Yeah, and afterwards we got to look at Aurora, Mlbb. Their opponents here, the runner-up for MPL Philippines is Edward, Demon Kai, Yue, Renegade, as well as Domeng Kai, which, forgive me if I just call him Domeng here. And again, one of the players that I personally want to watch, even though it's not an EXP meta, but I actually want to look at Edward because I feel like a few buffs here and there, like if Hilda gets banned out, I want to see what Edward brings to the table because I feel like if anyone can come up with something new, it's got to be Edward.
I also agree with Hilafel. I do personally feel like the EXP lane meta has been getting a little bit stale recently with all the Hyloses and Gatots and now Hilda. If we can see something new, something different, I would love to see that. And of course, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Demon Kite as well because of course there is, right? He loves his assassins. His micro gameplay is on another level entirely. But Aurora is going to need a little bit more to take down the team that defeated Fnatic Onyx.
Something to talk about here where maybe we can even bring this topic all the way to tomorrow is that is Chip really a viable ban nowadays? Because as far as I watch SPS, the few teams that let go of Chip actually has been winning. Vamos with the Chip has lost. TLID with the Chip has lost as well. Yeah. And now we're going to look at the prediction and yep, there you go. There you go.
There we go. It's understandable, FL. We know the sacrifices that you have to make sure that the game is as fair as possible. You just leave too much of an impact when you make predictions.
Here's the thing, Stafa. We all saw, even when I'm drawing teams, the worst thing that can happen will happen. To the point we asked the Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports to do it for me. So, you know what? I humbly respect the integrity of the Snapdragon Pro Series, and I choose not to vote.
We thank you so much for your sacrifice. Well, we're gonna be jumping into game number 1 here, folks. Aurora going to have first pick, RRQ second pick. And Aurora do actually decide to ban Hilda and Chip, despite having first pick.
Yeah, Araki Hoshi might have missed a ban there because they only ban out the Cho as well as the Jushin. Oh, never mind. They ban out the Suyo. So now Aurora, they have first pick. Now, we do have to see Matilda gets picked up. Now, I have a personal feeling about Matilda. I feel like Matilda is still a very strong hero, but you're not as aggressive as before because the HP changes really made it so that Matilda is very squishy. Like, true to the name of a support and assassin, right? You don't feel like opening up the map anymore.
Yeah, she still has insane early game presence and utility, but it is not quite as heavy-handed as it used to be in the past where you just completely destroy early game, especially with heroes like Hilda and Khalid, for example, being picked up more often now. This time RQ will be opening a little bit safer with the Valentina as well, who we already highlighted earlier. This hero has been getting a new lease on life.
Oh yeah, I feel like Rins on the Valentina can really impact the game because number one, Valentina affects the draft. It makes it so that you're more aware of your roamer pick as well as your mid lane pick because usually Valentinas pick up those big ticket ults, right? And having this Khalid is actually a very good answer against the Matilda because again, Matilda's HP has been dropped as with every other hero in the game, and this makes it so that the Khalid has a better chance of fighting that Matilda. Now Aurora, they pick up with the Alpha, one of the most banned as well as highest win rate as well, and the Moskov.
The Alpha makes a lot of sense because Matilda Alpha as well is a really potent duo in the early game. So if you have a Khalid to deal with, having Matilda to pull you in and out of fights, along with Alpha's consistent DPS, you should be able to come out just fine. Though the Moskov maybe doesn't need to be prioritized as early here because that'll allow RQ to instantly counterpick with the Brody.
Something to watch out for, Stafa, because now we're seeing teams prioritizing the Malefic Gun, right? I feel like Brody, your initial item is the Malefic Roar, but now since you can go for the Malefic Gun, I feel like he can win the lane a little bit more. So yes, I feel like this Brody pick is going to be pretty good. But the same thing can be said about Moskov. Once he finishes his Trinity item and then he finishes off with the Malefic Gun, it makes it so that this Moskov, one of the weaknesses for the Moskov is that for you to deal damage, you have to take damage. Now maybe you're gonna save their position.
Yeah, I personally am a huge fan of the changes they made to Malefic Gun because this item was just dead before this patch
Oh yeah,
dropped. There was never any reason to build it because marksmen already needed so many other items to do the damage they needed. But it being a solid alternative to Malefic Roar instead while offering different utility is great. And like you mentioned, both Moskov and Brody like to build that Malefic Gun, though Brody a little earlier than Moskov.
yeah.
So that determines a little bit of the power spikes we'll see in the lane.
Yeah, for sure. Now Arkeoshi, honestly, the first three picks for them screams aggression, and Aurora, the first three picks for them is actually playing the macro game because Moskov is an amazing side laner. You can clean up the waves very, very fast, and if bad things happen, he can just ult away. If he hits target, he'll be safe. Having the Matilda as well as the Alpha shows that you want to contest those turtles, those lords. So we can really start to see a difference in mentality when it comes to the draft here. Arkehoshi, they want to fight. Aurora, they want to secure those objectives without trading a lot.
I think that's a smart way of avoiding it because previously we saw RQ is a pretty aggressive team, but I feel like Fnatic on it kind of did something similar where they wanted to either fight them in that was in game 1 and then in game 2 try to lead more into a late game playstyle, and either way really ended up working. RQ gonna get a lot of junglers banned against them, including the Fredrin, which really doesn't see a lot of play anymore.
Although I feel like the reason they banned the Fredrin was they were very suspicious of this Eve ban. Because nothing in Arkeohoshi's draft screams we can't fight an Eve. So I kind of feel like this kind of showed their hand a little bit too much, or you're banning out the Eve. We're thinking you might want a Fredrin, so we might as well ban out the Fredrin. So honestly, very smart ban here by Aurora. And Arkeohoshi, they follow up with this Gato Kacha, still hiding who's the roamer and who's the EXP laner.
Yeah, leaving things until the very end.
Sorry, that's my
the
cat.
jungler especially. I didn't actually hear your cat.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. What if I want to hear your cat though?
Well, give it time. Give it time. You might be able to hear it. Now, Aurora, they already have a very solid comp. If they want to give, I feel like they need a little bit more crowd control, and they bring down the Veil. The Veil as well as the Edith. The Edith, again, crowd control, but the Veil as well, which has been buffed a little bit. So this is new for sure.
Yeah, we saw Veil once throughout this tournament so far. Can't remember which team did end up picking it, but it wasn't the most effective. And because Fanny was led through the fan phase entirely, which is quite a surprise. You would think that teams would catch on that in the second phase, but nope. Sutsujin gonna be playing the Fanny here. And that means that Veil is actually in a lot of trouble.
Staffa, I already have a bias towards Arkeohoshi's draft.
Yeah.
This level of aggression, they move faster than Aurora. So I can see the draft working for Aurora, but Arkeohoshi, they want to fight as fast as they can, and they can.
Yeah, basically Aurora is going to need to try and hold the early game a little bit because I actually think they have a little bit more damage overall once you have those first or second items. But if this Fanny gets going, we've already seen what this hero can do, especially since they decided to buff her for some reason, making her a little less reliant on the purple buff even. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens as we jump into the Land of Dawn for game number 1.
Staffa, they nerfed the Fanny because, get this, she has a low win rate.
Yes.
Yes.
I would know. She definitely has a low win rate when she's on my team.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a big difference between rank play and tournament play. But now we're again talking about the game here, jumping on a game. A lot of bursts coming in from Arkeohoshi, which I personally theorize that burst is the name of the game for this current patch because again of the HP changes and the changes in the items. Looking at the build here, looking like the Fanny, picking up attack speed to make sure that she clears the farm faster. The same can be said about Alpha. And we see that Yue having the tenacity, I'm sure it will help. Not sure how much it will help.
A little bit. In fact, it's not just UA. 4 members of Aurora had tenacity, so they understand RRQ is gonna have a lot of burst, a lot of early game presence, and their goal is to just survive it. Because if they're able to hold out a little bit into the mid to late game, Dome and Kite and Edward actually both scale pretty well, and they should be able to out DPS RRQ as long as they're not too far ahead.
Yeah, now we can see Susujin already getting knocked out.
Going in the mid lane, Sutsujin trying to follow up on Demon Kite. Unfortunately, not able to land the final blow, and there'll be no kills so far.
Yeah, Renegade taking some damage coming in from Rins. And personally, Staffa, I gotta say, where I'm pretty sure Aurora, what they want to do is win the turtle and then eventually invade the jungle. But based on my observation, Fanny, once Fanny hits level, honestly, level 8. Wait, Yui got the first blood. What happened there?
Edok seemed to go really deep into the jungle for some reason. I guess he was trying to scout out information on where Demon Kite was, but there were 3 members there waiting for him.
Oh, now Edward finds Rins. Rins should be fine here, able to escape. But again, look at Aurora. They want this turtle. After the turtle, their aim is to go inside the jungle.
And looks like Spirit of Alpha is going to connect on one. That's going to be the ultimate from Vale as well. Instantly bursting down Edok. Here comes Sutsujin. Dyren very, very low. Survives for a while, but not long enough. Sutsujin trying to chase down UA, but he's able to flicker away. And because RQ is left in a 2v4, they're going to have to surrender this turtle away. Sutsujin, in fact, going to be disrupted from recalling again. And Renegade goes in for the KO on the Fanny.
This is a big win, a big win for Aurora. This is what they want to do. They want to win turtle, and then eventually they want to start controlling the jungle.
And speaking of controlling, they instantly control Edok, not even allowing him to respawn before he is just one-shot in his own side of the map.
So now that Aurora has basically denied RQ Hoshi of the early game power spike with the amount of burst damage that they have, they're looking at a better spot here. So what they have to do is play a little bit slow, play for the second turtle, and then eventually get inside the jungle as well. But the thing about the Fanny changes is that I feel like at level 8, okay, Edok got a kill onto Domenkai, but once Fanny hits level 8, even without the purple buff, it is punished, but not that big of a punish because of the changes of the energy.
Yeah, she got an extra 2 base energy regen. Oh, Demon Kai getting pulled in with the Guiding Winds. Looks like he will not commit Spear of Alpha since Rins was already under the tower. But Aurora so far doing a very good job of keeping things up. They're gonna again invade. Edok not having a good time. Killing spree for Demon Kite. Oh, and they're still going. Avatar the Guardian comes in. Sutsujin wants his purple buff. Demon Kite wants the same. Circling Eagle gonna knock out 2. Not too sure who actually got it, but Sutsujin doing a lot of damage. Shuts down the Alpha and finally punishes Aurora.
Yeah, but it's still okay because 40 seconds is the timer for the next hurdle. So Aurora, they were punished, but they weren't punished that bad because even though RQ Hoshi got a kill, they won't transfer that kill onto objective. So Aurora had to take the risk there, where if they get a purple buff, then good. But even if they don't, they won't get punished that much. Sure, the jungler died, but worse things have happened before.
Speaking of the jungler, Sutsujin looking for another purple buff, goes in, ults Renegade, forces out the Circling Eagle, actually returns to come back again, not able to steal the purple buff. Demon Kite still able to grab it, but he had to use his retribution.
Skylar's first item is the Malefic Gun, so again, looking to win the lane, but so far, Domenkite actually has been playing the lane very well. I've been looking at his HP, and it hasn't been fluctuating a lot, so he's not interacting with Skylar at all.
Yeah, the only time he got picked off was when Edok actually got a pretty good timing gank when he was pushed up. Other than that, he's been able to lane against Skylar very well. Turtle at 40%. Oh, Flicker Earthshatter finds one, but here comes Sutsujin from backline. He steals it away, but the Spirit of Alpha connects with 2 members of RQ Hoshi. Here comes the Primal Wrap coming out. Edok actually able to survive with Picks and Guard, and the Avatar Guardian being used by Dyren to escape. Edok not so lucky himself.
This is a good trade coming in from RQ Hoshi. Only losing 1 and getting a turtle, it's actually very good. But now Aurora, they still want to continue the game plan. They want to be able to contest this purple buff, and they're able to get it. Demon Kite actually secures it, so never mind. The advantage shifted over to Aurora.
Sutsujin did use his retreat to get the turtle earlier, so Demon Kite was able to secure the purple buff without too much issue. The net worth lead now actually even between both teams, but we already mentioned if Aurora is able to keep themselves in until the mid game, they are actually the ones at an advantage.
So here's the tricky thing, Staffa. I agree with you. Aurora has the better late game because Dominkite on the Moskov and Yui on this Veil, they skill very, very well. Veil is one of those unique heroes with more levels, you get much, much stronger. But Arkihoshi, when it comes to the burst damage, if they're able to get the key targets, then it really doesn't matter. So honestly, the late game here is more dynamic.
That is true. Skylar in trouble. Circling Eagle finds his Sphere of Alpha actually connects even with Edok trying to stop him. Demon Kite gets one kill. Avatar Guardian knocks up the Alpha, but this is still a 3v4 situation. Guiding wins, lets Demon Kite back out for free, and now they're going to be pushing down bot lane.
Well, as I was saying about Aurora, I guess the same thing can happen with RRQ. If Skylar gets taken down, then oh, GG. Oh, Yui taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, Rins took half his HP from the Veil ult there, but not quite enough follow-up. Dominkite, not enough items yet to really dish out that damage. But Aurora controlling the map. Oh, they ran into the wrong bush right there. Two-man Spear of Alpha. Dyron surviving with the Revitalize, and Sutsujin comes back in. In fact, they're able to turn it around and take out Demon Kite instead.
Yeah, Demon Kite gets taken down. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And now Arkihoshi, it's funny when you look at the kill score, it's 8-3. But again, the goal is really not that different. Looking at the damage leaderboard here, Yui just got Sutsujin.
How does that even happen? Veil is supposed to be food for Fanny, but turns out it's the opposite if you are a player like Yue here. The game state actually still very even right now, and that's exactly how Aurora wants it.
I mean, I guess that's the relation. Oh, hold on. They want Edok again, but looks like Renegade is going to cancel out of that. I was just about to say, Staffa, I guess this is the relationship between a hero that flies around and a hero that controls the wind.
That is true. Yeah, when you're flying around, you do got to deal with the wind resistance a little bit.
Exactly,
and in this case, Yue is putting it right in his face.
So Mlbb logic checks out, you know? Veil is the counter to Fanny. Okay, don't actually take that to ranked games. It's just UA things. Okay, it's just UA.
Or like, you guys can do it, but then you can blame LaFell afterwards, you know?
Now, Aurora, they're moving together as a unit. And looking at Sutsujin, he actually got 2 turrets there, if I'm not mistaken. So overall, Arkihoshi, they're still in the game. This game, 8 minutes in, is so close, Staffa.
Even though the kill score heavily favors Aurora, RRQ has been able to keep themselves in this with that burst damage and with that extra micro from Sutsujin. Take advantage of Aurora wanting to play together. Spear of Alpha even misses on Edok. Spear of Destruction connects with Rins, but there's no angle for Aurora to enter the jungle.
Yeah, looking at the top lane as well, Aurora might get a turret for free. Oh, Yui got a kill? What happened?
He just got bursted down. He was in the wrong place. So Sutsujin almost gets caught by Spear of Alpha, able to fly around, do a good amount of damage, but not quite enough. He will be able to fly out, but Aurora now looking for a bit of vengeance, going for the top tier 2. Avatar the Guardian jumps in, Revitalize used as well to defend their tower, and they will successfully do so.
Right now, Staffa, Sutsujin needs to step up. He needs to get a target. He's 1-2-0 now.
Well, speaking of, he tries to go for Matilda, actually does get it, able to fly out at the same time.
That was almost bad. That was almost bad stuff. I was like, oh, Sutsujin got to do something. And then he did, but he almost died. But again, he needs to make this Fanny work.
Absolutely. Right now, it's doing okay, but needs to... Oh, beautiful Raging Sandstorm flickers, lands on 2, but the Earth Shatter actually stops them right into the Veil ult. A beautiful combo from Aurora. Port apart memory, not able to proc Sky Piercer. So they come out on top here.
What's the use of flying around against the Master of the Winds? Dude, I would never have thought that the Veil would be the one to actually stop a Fanny. What a world we live in.
That's actually really impressive. A lot of it was the Earth Shatter too, setting up the Fanny. Circling Eagle, Guiding Winds pulls Demon Kite to the opposite side to control the Lord Pit a little bit better. RQ looking for an entrance, but the Earth Shatter flicker knocks them up. And because of that, Skylar cannot go in. He's already been picked up. Edok with the Raging Sandstorm and the Avatar the Guardian used to escape. But Veil is just doing so much damage. Sutsujin even burns down to Renegade. Aurora taking control of the RRQ jungle.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Veil might be the hero to watch, man, because right now, against a Fanny, is 7-0-5. like we gotta check this out. Is this Veil or is this just UA?
I feel like part of it is just UA and a little bit of Edward as well, having the proper positionings to make sure that Sutsujin can't just fly in and get a free kill every single time. A 14 kill score to 4 and a 5k net worth lead have finally been built up by Aurora at the 11-minute mark.
And Aurora still has the Lord. The Lord is knocking on the top turret, able to get it. And now they're trying to get the inhibitors as well. RQ Hoshi, they want to make sure that no inhibitors gets taken down.
Oh, but here comes the Windstorm once again into the Spirit of Alpha. Even Revitalize can't keep Dyron alive, and they found Skylar as well. Sutsujin, he's the only one left standing. Never mind, they're just gone. Exploded by Aurora as they break down the crystal and take game 1.
Let this be a lesson in case anyone was wondering why I don't make predictions. I actually liked RQ's draft, and look what happened.
I mean, usually when you save a Fanny as the last pick, it can usually do quite well, and there's honestly a lot of targets this game that Sutsujin should be able to rack kills off of, but this Veil has been such a weird wild card for Aurora.
And the thing is, they picked the Veil first, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we need to point this out. They picked the Veil first. By the way, guys, screenshot the itemization for UA, because I'm pretty sure the stocks for the Veil will be skyrocketing, and you know, use his items. He doesn't even have Blood Wings. Staffa, he doesn't have Blood Wings.
He doesn't need Blood Wings. He has his own wings in the form of Renegade. And I don't really think he even needed to support him much. Like, Aurora was doing such a good job that UA was never in any threat, even with a Khalid and Fanny on the opposite side.
Yeah, I feel like RQ, they really need to look back into this game, because I feel like the draft was there. It's just the rotation. And speaking of which, E-Dog, for some reason, either it's because of the pick or his positioning, always gets punished by Aurora. And you're using tanky heroes, it's really not a good idea to ego challenge an alpha, because the alpha just does a lot of true damage against these tankier heroes. So even with the damage reduction coming in from the Khalid, what's it gonna do, right? What's it gonna do? And of course, we gotta talk about the MVP, UA, on this field pick, man. Like, whew, so strong.
The winds of change may be coming, Lofel, because this pick, no one had any faith in it. And UA shows us, I'll show you why you should believe in Veil. And combined with the rest of Aurora, he was able to dish out damage so effectively. And I guess they knew, right, that RQ would probably dive at them, which makes it easier to set up the Windstorm. So all of these mistakes, all of these decisions stacked up and allowed Aurora to take a pretty convincing victory.
We've seen the cycles of Avatar here. We've seen wind, we've seen ice, which I guess we can say water. We haven't seen, I mean, if you want to say Edith, because Earth Shatter.
True.
We just don't have the Valir yet, man. Valir is the missing piece.
That is true. I mean, we're seeing some export here and there. That still works.
That's true.
Yeah, there were definitely some mistakes.
Grok should be Earth. Either ways, looking at this game, the damage dealt or dealt so much, and RQ, they don't have the chance, which is, again, very weird, because isn't it weird, Staffa, that we don't see a lot from Sutsujin or Skylar?
Yeah, you would expect a little bit more from Sutsujin, especially because there actually isn't a lot of crowd control for Aurora to deal with it. It is basically only the Edict, and yet they were catching him every single time. I think the front line not being able to tank, especially Edok dying so often early on, made it harder for them to play around things, and UA just took advantage of that to become the MVP himself.
Do I dare say that maybe Sutsujin is just not that comfortable on the Fanny for some reason? It's hard to say, because I feel like his pathing is okay. It's just that most of the time when he goes in, he gets stopped, right?
I don't think it's Sijin being uncomfortable with the Fanny because I feel like he's still doing all right. I think a lot of it does come from the fact that RQ isn't able to create enough space for him because Fanny, it pops off the most when the enemy team is distracted dealing with the rest of her teammates, and they just really couldn't do that. Aurora's formation was very tight a lot of the time, and having this Matilda to reposition them allowed them to very easily decide where and when they take team fights.
As we're saying that, it crossed my mind. Maybe it's because of EDOT, because EDOT didn't have a good game, so maybe that's why they don't have the spacing, and that really shows. Like, I've seen criticisms of people saying, "Why are you hitting the tank?" But honestly, in the early game, if you shut down the tank, you shut down a lot of the utility coming in from the team. Like, they can't open up the map, they can't move forward to contest for objectives. And I feel like that might be the key factor of why Aurora was able to take down RQ Hoshi that easily, is because they made sure that EDOT didn't get to play his game.
Your backline is not going to be able to do their thing if the front line just doesn't exist. And that's the whole reason why heroes like Hylos and Gatot are so often picked up, because they're meant to provide that space. They're meant to be the guardians of the rest of the team. And if the guardians aren't doing their job, the DPS are going to have a much more difficult time, which is what we saw there in game number 1.
Maybe this is one of those situations where perhaps the Gatot was better as a roamer, because again, a lot of punishment coming in from but maybe just EDOT didn't thought that he would get bursted out that much. So I feel like RQ, they have the right idea of what kind of meta it is. It's just that the playstyle have to adjust, because again, I feel like HP changes kind of throws off the instinct timing coming in from the players. Like, usually you'd be able to be like, oh, I can probably take 5 hits, but nowadays it's like, no, it's more like 3 hits, right? So yeah, it's something that every player has to adjust.
Yeah, and I think he kind of disrespected the Matilda Alpha combo just a little bit early on, but I believe we have a bit of a break before we go into game number 2, right, LaFell?
Oh yeah, so let's get to a break, because after this, we gotta see, can RQ Hoshi come back?
Here we go! Should have fell for me, take back your heart. Why don't you take it back? You never had a chance. I'm gonna take back your heart. Call it a savage love, just till I had enough of us. I'm the type of girl that turns logic into atoms. Think you know it all, but then you let me get inside your head. Yeah. Steady jump design, think I know your kind. I'm about to break another code now. Pretty in disguise, bugging up your life. This is my syntax. 3, 2, 1, deploy. XOX cutthroat code. Run it again, XOX cutthroat code. Run it again, steady jump design. Think I know your kind. Yeah. Steady jump design.
Aurora was able to have a very convincing win against RQ Hoshi. Now, RQ Hoshi, they have to answer back or this will be a 2-0. We gotta remind everyone that whoever wins this one will be proceeding towards the next stage. So this is really a match that you want to win. If not, gotta play one more game.
And less games is usually a little bit easier, so I think a lot of teams are gonna be looking for that. RQ still has the chance to claim that spot for themselves, though, if they're able to take the next 2 games in quick succession. So going into game number 2, LaFell, what kind of changes do you think they need to do in terms of maybe the draft to deal with Aurora?
I would say just change Edoc's hero, something that he can actually avoid, like especially if they already see something like the Alpha gets picked up, maybe something with a little bit more mobility, something like a Cho, right? Where sure, Cho is not as tanky as per se a Gatot or a Khalid, but he's able to dodge that damage, and dodging is better than tanking.
I literally invented one.
I think that also kind of depends on who you ask, though, sometimes, right? Well, let's see what happens, because Aurora still going to be going ahead to ban out that chip on the blue side alongside the Hilda. So, surprisingly, an effective strategy.
I kind of feel like it's because when Chip got got nerfed, is a very strong hero still, for sure. Very strong hero. But is not a hero you want to first pick anymore. Yeah, that was a good, I saw it. That was good stuff.
No problem. Gotta handle all the little corners. All right, first pick. What's it gonna be? The Matilda is taken off the board. I think that caused a lot of trouble for Aurora when the game began. And the moment you say it, the show gets contested away by Aurora themselves.
It's like I noticed things, man. It's like I knew. I play Rome Mustafa, and I know how tough it is to just tank up straight up damage. Like, I don't know how to use a Cho, and yet I look amazing on a Cho just because this meta is more suited for heroes like him, which makes me want to experiment with the likes of Ruby. I just haven't gotten the time to do it yet. Aurora now picking up the Eve as an answer towards the Valentina as well as the Gatot. Will they pick up an Alpha here? Alpha is still open.
Alpha seems like it would be pretty solid if you ask me. It already worked really well in game number 1, though the Matilda definitely boosted his effectiveness overall. So looks like Aurora thinks that without that part of the puzzle, Moskov is a more important factor.
I am vengeance in
And I kind of feel like Aurora, their ego challenging RQ Hoshi. If you guys want to pick up the Alpha, look at the heroes that we got. We got ways to fight the Alpha. We got an Eve, we got a Cho. So they're like preventing RQ Hoshi from picking it up. So they're forcing RQ Hoshi to ban it away. And now RQ Hoshi, they're picking up the Natan, which has been a staple even since from previous patch, where even if you're having a bad early game, it will save you in the late game.
I feel like Natan is just ridiculous. I said it yesterday, I'll say it today, I'll say it until something changes. He's just so strong in every single phase of the game. It is crazy. But what's even crazier is that normally you wouldn't see people pick up an Eve into a Valentina, because now you have 2 boxes of death to deal with. It just shows how confident Aurora are with this hero.
I'm just gonna emphasize on your point where I feel like Natan now, his power spike is the first item. Once he has the Stardom Scythe, he can already start bursting people down. It's not consistent, but it's enough, So that just shows how strong it is. Now, RQ Hoshi, they ban out the Phantom, but Aurora, they themselves ban out the Alpha, which I thought it would force RQ Hoshi to ban out. But maybe something with this Natan pick makes Aurora feel that an Alpha is still possible for RQ Hoshi.
If they're going in this direction,